Okie dokie. Welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for showing up again for another episode of Sharpen the Saw with the Wise Agent Society. Today, we have Tara with us, as usual, the lovely Tara, my esteemed assistant. And today we're going to be talking about mega open house parties. Okay, so we're basically talking about open houses, but way better ones than the normal ones probably you've ever been to, and that people typically think about when they go to an open house. I do open houses a little bit differently, and that's why I always have really successful open houses. So you probably heard of a regular open house, of course, um, and then you might have heard of a mega open house. And then what I do is mega open house parties. So it's just the next level, and they're a lot of fun. And I guarantee you will get extraordinary results from doing it this way. Well, well, there's a lot of steps, but we're going to talk about one of the most important steps is open house signs. Okay, so if you think you're going to go out and put out 6 signs and have a successful open house, I got news for you. You're not. So one of the most important things that I would suggest for having an open house is having a minimum of 25 signs. And I don't even recommend that anymore. I recommend more closer to 40. So people on my teams, my retail real estate teams in the different cities and states in San Diego, Las Vegas, and Iowa, when we do it, we put out close to 40. And you can use up those signs pretty quickly. It doesn't take long if you follow some of the other steps that go with making a good open house. So when you're picking your open house, and we'll get into more about sign placement here in a minute, but when you're picking an open house, couple of things. So a couple of rules when you're doing that is don't worry about your own listing, don't worry about your brokerage's listings, although in different cities, states, and associations, there are different rules. So make sure you check with the rules to make sure that you can do whatever is legal. So if because some brokerages will have liability issues in states with doing other brokerages open houses. So you want your E&O insurance to be able to cover all of that. So make sure that you check to make sure. So either way, let's say you're going to stick within your own brokerage, but if you have a small brokerage, you might have to branch out to be bigger. But you're going to want to find open houses in the area that you want to target, the area that you want to sell houses in. So pick that area out first. Picking your farm is a whole nother segment we'll get into. So I can teach you how to go from zero to finding a farm that's appropriate by running all the numbers, the stats, and all of that on turnover and dominating markets in the area. I mean, dominating agents in the area. For now, let's say you've already picked that part. So now we're looking for houses in good areas or in your target area. Um, and the way I do that is I look for uh, houses that have easy access to a major road. Okay, so if there's a ton of traffic. So next would be just a major thoroughfare, and then next, side streets, whatever. So you're going to try to find your one or two busiest intersections, maybe even more. I've gone probably as far out as a mile and a half putting out signs. That's why 40 signs is really effective. Now, when you're placing your signs, you want to, if you can pull them off of a freeway and then onto a major street, and then down to your next street, and then onto your street, wherever it is, that's the way to go. So I start with my signs as I go away from the open house property, they're spread out further. And as they get closer to the property, we start putting them closer together. And then when you get to the property, I mean, I have flags, I have open house signs, like 5 or 6 of them. So I always say 5 or 6 of them for the front yard. Uh, if it's maybe a condo or something, but whatever, you want to make it crazy. So we have flags up, we have open house signs, and then I even sometimes buy these 2 foot to 3 foot high letters that spell open house in front of the whole house, like 20 feet wide. So you want to make it look like surface. You want to draw a lot of attention to it and make it super exciting, like something nobody's ever seen before. There's a couple reasons for that. First of all, it's going to draw attention. It'll get people to come inside. But secondly, you're going to get attention from other people in the neighborhood. They're going to be like, "Your realtor, my realtor didn't do that for my open house. Like, this is incredible. I'm going to hire this guy. So see who this guy is or this gal is that is doing all this. This is amazing." And that's what I was going to say too, is that every single open house I have, since I do it like that, um, somebody never fails, shows up and comes in and they're like, "We've been following your signs for like 2 miles or whatever." They think it's a long time, but I've been following it since the freeway. Saw your signs, and then I just kept seeing them, and then I saw more, and then I saw more. And they're like, "What's even looking to buy or sell a house?" I have never seen somebody put out that many open house signs. So I had to meet you and see what this was all about. Okay, these are some good examples here of my old open house signs, and we'll talk about this real quick too. So see this, these are my original open house signs in Las Vegas. These are heavy duty A-frame. Vegas, there's a lot of wind, so it blows over. So go back, Tara, and let's just see the like this one's a good one. So see how the arrow points forward. On these ones, on the back side of it is the next one, is the U-turn. So those are, yep, the other way. So there's the ones that, yep, like that. So one arrow, it goes straight, and on the other side it says turn around. So those are for your straight directional ones. Those are really handy. So if you're not making a turn, you're like, "No, keep going," you got to take them down a few streets. Those are really cool. And mine have gotten much simpler since then. So these are very expensive custom signs, and this is also my old logos, all my old stuff. So everything has evolved a lot from these. But the concept of having these arrows like this, I've never seen really anybody do it that way. So that's really cool. So you could probably find one of those photos I sent with the stuff in, like the signs in the yard, the front door of a house. Nope, that's Mershad putting out signs one day. That's an open house sign. We're going to get to that. Anyway, so when you're putting your signs out, you start from far away and you get closer and closer. Well, there's one with a whole bunch of signs in the front yard, Tara, and flags that I sent to you. Anyway, so you're going to, oh, this is the open house sign placement is super important. So you're going to want to be aggressive with your sign placing. So a lot of people, first of all, they put out 6 signs or whatever. And then secondly, they put their signs on the corners of the intersection or on a sidewalk or something, this way. Nobody's driving around looking for your open house signs. Like, "Oh gosh, is Shay Black gonna have an open house today? Gosh, I just can't wait to see this." Do you see any signs anywhere? Nobody's looking hard for your signs at all. So you want to put your signs out aggressively. Like I put them in the middle of traffic, so I'm super aggressive with mine. You don't have to be that aggressive because A, they'll get run over, B, they'll get stolen, which mine gets stolen because I put them in pretty aggressive spots. So you don't want to put them in a dangerous spot for traffic. But like I walk mine, so you know how a lot of people put them on the corners of an intersection. But some of the intersections are big or they're weird. So I walk them right over to the middle of the intersection where there's a median, and I stick it right in front of the median. So depending on how traffic turns or whatever, maybe I don't need one on this one corner because nobody can turn from that way to get there. So instead I put it in the median. And another thing I do, that sign with Mershad, putting the open house sign out there, in that photo, there you can see that there's no road there. There's no road close to there, and it says turn right, open house. Well, what we call those are leader signs. So we put those out about half a block, maybe not even half a block, but time before your turn, and then you put the actual sign for the turn. Because here's the thing, people are going for like this particular street, I remember it's like 40, 45 miles on the lower. People are hauling butt down the street. They once they see that sign, they're like, "Oh shoot, I missed it. Oh well, I'm gonna go back to taking my groceries home, or I'm gonna go back to doing what I was doing for the day." When if you put a leader sign out like this one, they're like, "Whoa, oh shoot, I missed it." Well, here's the real sign. So then down at the end of the street, that's where the turn street is. So we give them a leader, like we give them a warning, like, "Hey, there's an open house coming up." So anytime you're turning off of a major street like that, that's on the street for quite a while, that's how you do that. And this is also an example of my new site. So I don't know if these would work very well in Vegas or a very windy market, by the way, because these are made out of PVC, but these are, you can get them from the association. This is in San Diego. Can't remember, 32, 34 bucks each. But if you get you pay for the premier membership, whatever it costs. I don't remember what it costs, 50 bucks, let's say. Then you get a percentage off of all these, and they go on sale. So I buy these for like 24, 25 bucks or something like that when they go on sale. And I try to buy all of them. So I buy, 40, 50 at a time and get a big bundle savings. So they have red ones and they have blue ones. I like the red ones just because those stand out the most. But blue ones are cool too. But red is just a eye-catching color. Like, why do policemen pull over red vehicles more than any other vehicle? Well, it's because they notice them more. That's just facts of the matter. Okay. Yeah. So you got all the open house signs. You got 40 open house signs. You got a ton of them in the yard. Your sign placement, get them out there, putting out your leader signs and all of that stuff. By the way, it takes me about 30, 40, 45 minutes. Usually I do this with two people, by the way. Oh, good. Here's the picture of a front yard. This is not an amazing example, but in this example, this is a little condo in San Diego. This is actually one of my flips. That So we have three open house signs, and there was you can't see all this, but there was a hedge in front of, further out from where this picture is. So there are three open house signs just by the front door and a welcome flag. I have bigger and better flags now too, but um, the cool thing about that is like sometimes people are walking up like, are you sure this is it or what? We always put 4, 5, 6 signs out. This one has three because there are also probably 3 or 4 more just right outside of this trying to get you to go to this area. So people won't mess it up. They're like, okay, we're on the right track. We're going there. And it just gets more and more intense as we get there. Then, or as I was saying, uh, so it takes, so you want to do this 45 minutes ahead of time. So I always go in, put all my stuff inside the house, right? You get it all set up, your tables, I get big chiller bins full of beer, wine, soda, waters, and then I have other bins that are full of food and stuff. Tara, can you put up the picture of the example of the one? It's not a great example either, but it's one of the inside table. So this is a quick, fast one that I've done in the past. We've elevated that too. So but we set all this stuff up first, right? So you have your open house flyer, and you have your iPad there, which I recommend putting the Open Home Pro app on it. This is what I use for a sign-in sheet, and I do this because it's way more effective than a sign-in sheet you write with your hands for a variety of reasons. Number one of the things that people are going to do is they're going to write real scribbly, so you can't read it. And they're going to miss stuff. They're going to leave out their phone number and all the stuff. So, what you want to do is give them an iPad. So you take the iPad, you say, "Hey, I'm Shay Black with eXp Realty." I put up my hand. They're just like, "I'm so and so," and then I say, "Hey," and then I shake hands with the next person. So if it's a family, I meet everybody in the family. Then I'm like, the sellers have asked. Now I talk to my sellers and the list and whoever's selling the house, and I say, would you like to require that everybody signs in to come before they come in for liability purposes? And 100% of the time they're gonna be like, yes, because what happens in the house or something gets broken, something gets stolen, you want to have contact information for the people that have been in there. And so I make sure I ask that that's okay, if that's what they would like me to do, and they say yes. So then when people come into the open house, I say, great, great to meet you. You know, come on in. Here's the sign-in sheet. The seller requests that everybody signs in for liability purposes. So here you go. And you give them the iPad and you let it go. Just give it to them and let it go. 100% of the time, they will take it. You give something to somebody, they'll take it. So just keep to it. So you give them the iPad, and then on there, they're like, wow, first of all, they're like, oh, what's this? And then it's like, there's pictures of the house, and there's all the stuff on there, and it has your name, your phone number, your email address, and you can do custom questions, and it comes preloaded. So the Open Home Pro app comes with all this. And then on there, I also say, so sign in here, and then I was like, also, when you're done signing in, it will at the end of the open house, this will send you a flyer with all the details of the house and the pictures and all the stuff on it. So you'll get an information sheet on the house. So then I don't always have information sheets so that they have to get it. That's the only way they can get it. Um, the other nice thing about the Open Home Pro app is that it will, at the end of the open house, it'll send you a spreadsheet with all the people that came in. So it'll be a sign-in spreadsheet, and I think it's a CSV file. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. Anyway, it makes it really easy, and all the notes, I believe you can put notes in on the open house of who came and what. Anyway, all that will populate over into one nice sheet so you can put it into your CRM. Open Home Pro app it just makes it a very nice and easy solution for you. And you can read all of it because it's typed. There's no handwritten anything. So highly recommend using that. I do also have sign-in sheets for backup for when multiple people walk in, which they will. Then you have one at least doing one and the other doing the other. You know, that's a good break for talking about. I've never done open houses by myself ever, ever, ever. I always bring my kids or my wife or my lender, and sometimes my wife is my lender. Right now, she's not a loan officer anymore, but in the past she has been. And then when she isn't, then I bring a different lender, or I bring a title rep, or I bring any other person. But if I don't have any of those people, then I find somebody in my office or another realtor I know, and I invite them, and we split the leads. Under no circumstances would I ever do an open house alone. Uh, not for safety purposes, maybe for me, but it is safety purposes for everybody in general. So meaning the homeowners and all that stuff. So it's always good because you have eyes on it. So the what I really prefer to have is three people. So I have two agents there or two people talking to people, and then just a door person. So I usually will put a person on the door that's just getting sign-ins. They're just helping people sign in. Then we offer them, see in that little pumpkin bucket, there's a bunch of wines. And then on the other one, it's candy and stuff. Sometimes I have whole sandwiches, you know, from Jimmy John's or any of those things. And I usually have a big bag of chips and then some candy. And then I put candy buckets like that all over the house. So like one in the kitchen, one in another bathroom or something, because people come in and they're real standoffish. They're like, no, 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 that's no, thank you, no, thank you. You know, we're just gonna be in and out. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure, no problem. Well, but if you don't drink it, then I'm gonna have to drink them also. I really appreciate your help, you know. I like to have fun with them. And anyway, as they go past you, all the candy buckets in the other rooms will be gone by the end of the thing, guaranteed. So you're helping them come in and ease into the situation and relax and see like here, come on, man, don't worry about it. I don't care if you buy this house. They're like, listen, I don't know if I'm going to buy this house or whatever, and I'm like, I know 100% you're not going to buy this house. The chances of a person coming in and buying an open house is minuscule, and if they have, especially one without an agent and all this stuff, so uh, it's not about that. It's about creating the relationship and finding out what their goals are, finding out their timelines, and then helping them buy a house, a different house, whenever the timeline is appropriate. But we have to get all this information first. So the first thing is to get their sign-in information, and sometimes they might be a little reluctant to give you that information. And so when you give them the sign-in sheet, and they're like, "Oh no, I don't." They might give their number or something. And I've only had one person, by the way. I said, this requires that everybody signs in first thing, and they say, "Oh, I don't sign in on these things. I don't do that." I'm like, "Well, the seller requires it because for liability and purposes, they don't want people coming in." They're like, "Well, I don't do it. I'm not gonna fill that part out. I'm not filling it out." And I say, "Well, that's fine. I appreciate you coming by. Please enjoy looking at other open houses today." And I've only had one person that challenged me on that, and they left. I was like, they're the only person like ever. Most people are like, "Okay, fine." I'm like, first of all, every one of these people, this isn't probably the first open house they've been to that day. They know how open houses work. They've signed in at every one. Now, most of the time, they're not used to somebody, holding them accountable to signing in. Um, so maybe they've gotten away with it. But most people, I'd say 99% of the people will just come in and sign in because that's what you do. And so don't worry about getting people to sign in. Make people sign in. That's what I'm saying. Now it's up to you how how hard you want to hold them to it. Now, if somebody says like, "Okay, here's my name, but I'm not giving my phone number," and then what I would say is, well, or if they didn't put their phone number, I'll say, "Oh gosh, you missed your phone number here," and they're like, "Yeah, I don't give my phone number." I'm like, "Well, just put your phone number on there. I promise I'll only call you like 6 or 7 times a day. Nothing big, like just easy peasy." And they're like, they give it off there. "Okay, yeah, but I'm still not giving it to you." I'm like, "No, here you go. Put it on there, and just give them the thing back. If you give it to them, they'll take it, and then they'll say, you gotta say no." They will. I promise. They'll put it in there. And then if you want to play around with that even more, say, "Well, just put either your email address or your phone number, one or the other. I don't really care if you make it up. Just like put one on there." Yeah. And then, part of it is getting them to qualify like, "Hey, is this somebody I'll work with? Is this somebody that will listen to what I say and do the things that I need them to do in order to move forward?" So it's a little bit of a game of like figuring out how this dynamic will work. The other thing is that oftentimes people would put a fake email address. A lot of people, and I'm sure you do too, have some frivolous email address that you give out to salespeople and or open houses. Some people are serial open house goers. And so that's fine. What I do is give people an out for their lie. So as I build rapport with them and I'm walking around the house with them, I'm showing them all the stuff and I'm asking them questions on what it is they're looking for, their time frame, all of that. After a while, I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, what did you know about this program and this and that?" And they're like, "No, really? You can do that? Like you can get this kind of a program, loan program that gives you free money, or it has a 2-1 buy down rate or whatever, all these things." And I'm like, "For sure, this is how it works, or this is how that grant works, or here's how these things work." And they're like, "That's incredible." And I'm like, "You know what? I'll just keep in touch with you on it. I'll send you more information for it at the end of the day, and then we can follow up and talk about it more later." And they're like, "Hey, yeah, that sounds good." And I'll be like, then I say, "Is this the best email address for you?" Because I know a lot of times people come in here and they just put an email address that isn't the best one. Just put one on there. 'Cause I'll send you that info, and they're like, "Yeah, actually, I do. That was the one that I don't really. You put this one down instead." Like, we've got a relationship. They like me. They want to do stuff with me. At first, everybody's a little standoffish. So let them be a little standoffish if you want. And then as you warm up to them and you give them value, then they will appreciate you and they will trust you more, and then you can change it. So that's why I always say make sure to double check that, because they might not have given you the best email address. And while you're at it, if they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, you're right. Yeah, I do that too." I put in the fake email address and say, "Okay, cool," and then say, "So is this the best phone number for you, or do you have a better one of those too?" And then they're like, "Well, okay, here, not really. This one's better." And they're like, "Okay, cool. I'll fix that too." And it's like, "But don't worry, I only call you like 6 or 7 times a day." And then again, you get the laugh again. So, all right. So we've covered open houses and putting out the stuff. Oh, by the way, disclaimer, not every association or uh, place will like you putting alcohol. So if that's not allowed or you don't want to do it, then don't do it. That's okay. I'll tell you what though, you get a person to drink one beer, one glass of wine. Boy, it's a totally different scenario. They are much more relaxed. They're much more ready just to talk to you. Like we're not trying to get anything from them. We're just trying to find out what they're trying to do and what their goals are and see if we can connect to help them reach those goals. If you get them to drink drinks, they don't know. So a lot of people are walking around in the neighborhood and they're just walking by. Those are the best ones if they'll stay because they're just going to walk home after that. But if you can get them to have two, they will tell you their whole story about everything, where they live, who they live with, one who's buying what and who's selling what, and all their neighbors and friends because they're just relaxed. They're not a nice guy. And I just like meeting people and getting to them and learning about what they have going on. So, like I said, everybody's a little standoffish in the beginning. But if you can just get them to relax, just get them to know you a little bit and ask them questions, then it's a whole different ball game. Now, we don't have a picture of it, but if anybody wants it, and I don't know if you have a link for it right now, Tara, but maybe we can add it later, is there is a questionnaire that I read or a script. Let's start off with the Tom Ferry script. It's an open house script, and it basically says it takes the conversation two ways. One is they live in the area and they're a potential seller one day. Maybe it's next week, maybe it's in 4 years. It doesn't matter. This is a long game. Real estate isn't a right now all the time game. So there's a open house dialogue script from Tom Ferry that I use. So I print off 20 of these or so. Open house. This is a brand new agent. Okay. So when I had the scripts memorized, because I did script practice every morning when I first started out, and I would still print them out because what I did was I read the script to them, and as they answered the questions, I wrote down their answers. So I have a clipboard with that, and as I talked about, I introduced them, get them signed and all that. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to walk around with you. This isn't the exact one, but this is a good one. This is fine. But the way it is, so it starts off like, are you just are you or do you live in the neighborhood, or were you just out and you saw the signs and you decided to stop in? And they're like one or the other. So if they're out browsing, or I said, were you out browsing and you saw the signs, and they're like, yeah, we're out browsing. Okay, cool. So that's a buyer. So then we take them down the buyer side of the questions. And then if they say, no, we live in the area, okay, cool. Then that's a potential seller. So we take them down a different line of questions. And then as I do it, I would just write it down and I would tell them, I'd say, hey, so come on in, let's take a look around. I'll show you a few things. I'll just give you a quick tour and then you can wander around and do whatever you want the rest of the time. Did you want a beer or a wine or something? And they're like, oh, it's 10 a.m. I'm like, yeah, but it's Saturday, right? Like, you want, like, but no big deal. What, do you want water instead? You want some chips? They're like, no, no, you want some candy? I just keep saying until they're like, no, that's okay. Cool, let's go on the tour. And then you go walk around, and I say, I'm just going to take some notes here because I don't want to forget what you say. So that way, if I find some houses that might, fit your criteria, then I can tell you about them. Whatever. So I let them know. I need to take notes. I'm going to speak to them, ask them some questions. I'm going to take notes on it. I told them that right away. This is me as a brand new agent. Okay, we're talking first 3 months. I didn't know thing about anything. I'm doing luxury open houses in Las Vegas. I didn't know anything about the market. I didn't know anything about the houses. I didn't know anything about this community. I didn't know anything about anything. It isn't totally true. I would go preview communities every week, every afternoon. So we could get into, we could do this for another topic. Tara is a weekly schedule, agent schedule. So how to do a perfect daily schedule actually, and then how your schedule should look on a typical week as a real estate agent. It's the same for everybody. It's flexible, so you can change it to be however it needs to be for your schedule and your lifestyle and your family and however that looks. But there's a template and there's a easy rule of thumb, and I can show you how to do all of that. Um, So uh, anyway, we get all the information and wish them a good day. Now, one thing I skipped a little bit was I want to go back to is find that picture of the banner in the front, the entryway. It's a big banner that says open house on it. This is one of the most ingenious things you could do. The best like $100 you'll ever spend. And basically that's it. So basically, this I like to put this out in the front. And I have another version on a chalkboard you can show too. Just to show that if you don't want to, you can't afford to go buy a banner or whatever, but they're only $100. You can find a chalkboard of any kind. This is one of those sandwich boards with chalk. So you can make your own. We did this for one of ours. We didn't have enough things. So anyway, go back to the other one real quick because it's easier to see. And what you do is you get a banner that says, "Welcome to our open house." So, hey, okay, come on in. This is the rule number. This is just telling them all the rules. If you want to come in this house, this is how it's going to work. Okay. So before they've ever met you, so if you're having anxiety about getting people to sign in or whatever, or greeting them, have the open house if you're not going to have people sign in. There's almost no reason. Like, why are you spending 4 or 5 hours of your day not to earn business? Because you're doing this. This is a business. It's as much as I love making relationships and all that, which is the goal here, but you can't monetize it. You can't build a system around, just the chit chatting with people. So this is all part of the organization and making it a business. So it tells them the rules of the road. First thing you're going to do when you come in is you sign in. You're reading this before they get in. So they're going to make this decision before they come in. And number two, you're going to look around. Number three, you're going to ask questions. Number four, you're going to fall in love. Number five, you're going to make an offer. Maybe they won't. It's a fun sign. And then this is the best part. At the bottom is this house not for you? We can show you all of the homes in the area. That's the bottom today. Schedule private showings today. Who you represent matters. That's that bottom parts, whatever. You can put in stuff like that. But the main thing is it tells you all the rules, how it works, and then it also says, like, hey, we can show you all the homes in the area. We'd love to. Actually, that's what I would change that to, is we would love to show you other homes in the area you're looking at. Okay. So now when they come in, you already read the rules. You give them the sign in iPad. By the way, it only works on iPad, the Open Home Pro thing. It doesn't work on Android. It's just an app, Apple. But I tell you, it's a game changer. And they already know the rules. And if they don't, just be like, well, that's why the sign was out there. The seller asked that everybody signs in for liability purposes. So, but I'm telling you, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of open houses, and I've only had two people. One, this guy was getting all huffy, and it's funny because his wife snuck in anyway, and she's walking around, running around. She was seriously running around in a house in Vegas. And then he's like, "All right, we're going," and she's like, "Okay," and like took off. I'm like, "What kind of a weird scam weirdos is this?" And then another time, um, an elderly lady was just appalled in Del Mar in San Diego, and Del Mar is a very nice area. And I was like, "Yeah, well, she's like, I have never heard of anybody liability purposes." Yeah. I was like, in case you fall down and break your leg or something like that, like who do you think pays for that? What do we do for in that case? It's like, oh, well, she just was compelled, so she left, and I was like, "See you later, have a good day. Thank you for coming anyway." Um, you don't have to do that either. That's funny. I don't mind kind of holding people accountable sometimes, but if somebody's really throwing a big deal and you want to let them in, just go ahead. Maybe they'll soften up later because that can happen too. Like I said, when they don't know you, they just think you're the regular greasy used car salesman, like a lot of the other realtors they've come across. And so if you let them in and just let them know that, hey, I'm cool and I want to talk to you and build a relationship, and a lot of times they soften up anyway. Okay, so those were like two times people didn't sign in my open houses in 12 years, 11 years, whatever it's been. So it's a great sign. I forget where I get these. Let's say I don't know if Got Print has them. You can Google this though. Just pull up retractable standing banner, and you want to get this size. You want it to be monster big. A lot of my coaching clients have had it. We've had it for our teams, all these things, and it really makes a big difference. And it just is really professional, and nobody has them. Nobody has it. So it's really nice for when they see it, and it sets the tone and the pace for the whole thing. Okay, another thing. So we're talking about putting the signs out. So we go in, we set all this stuff up, maybe not this open house sign, just have that inside the door. So you don't want people showing up to the thing if you're not there yet. You're not putting out signs. So if you start at the house and go out, you're giving a trail for people to go on to a place where you're not at. If you start from and then work your way in, people will be looking at it, but they won't ever find the house. So otherwise, you got people trying to get in the house, all that stuff. So start from the out, move your way in, and then when you're putting in your last signs, there'll be people standing there waiting for you, or they'll be following you the whole way. That's fun. That they really do. And then you're like, "What? Let's go. I'm here." Then you open your door, unless you have somebody else there, of course, which you should. But I usually take both of us, the two people doing the open house, to put up the signs. So you have somebody kind of driving, somebody jumping out, throwing out a sign, and going like that. Then uh, opposite is true for when you're done with the open house. When you're done with the open house, start from the house and pick them up as you go. That way, you have the door shut, nobody's there, you can shut it, lock it, whatever, and start picking up the signs from the front, and then nobody can find where to go to open this. They're not trying to get in, they're not trying to do whatever. Now, another good thing to think about, or know, or understand, is when I'm shutting up the open house, so it's done, the time is up, and I'm picking up, shutting off lights, all that stuff. There's going to be people that inevitably still show up, and when they're doing that, like, oh, is it open? And I'm like, so you're not done until people are done coming, unless of course you have something really important to do after that. But all you need is one person to come in that wants to buy a house. Not that house. They're not going to buy that house. The chances of them buying that house are less than 1%. So you just need to make the relationship. So you need to be as available as you can and work with the people on their timing and whatever. And they don't know. They just saw the signs. And that's the thing is, if you put up 40 signs, you're going to triple your traffic because we're actually going to see your signs and follow them and come in. They didn't know it was on Zillow. They didn't know it was on anything. The most traffic for all my open houses historically from the signs I put out because I put out so many and people just see them and they follow them and they come. Or they might go out, you know, during the open house or at the beginning or whatever, and they see all the signs. They're like, "What the heck is going on here?" Well, I got to go to the store. I got to go to church. I got to go wherever. And then 4 hours later or whatever, or 3 hours later, they're coming back. They're like, you know what? I'm going to stop. Oh, this is crazy. I'm going to go see what's happening. Maybe they got food there. So that's why I always have food and stuff. Now, the other thing is that we will do a call. What's it called? 10, 10, 20. I don't know if that's the right word for it. But anyway, so after you get everything put in place and you have one person manning the door, whatever, you can, and you open it up, or even before, even better, would be to go around and knock on 10 door. I can't remember if this is right. It might be 5, 5, 10. 5, 5, 10, 10, 10, 20. I would do 10, 10, 20. So do 10 neighbors to the left of the house, 10 neighbors to the right of the house, and 20 across the street. So you can even do this before you put out the signs, actually. This would be the best time for door knocking. And you just go up and knock on the door and wait for them to come and say, hey, I'm having an open house party just down the street here. And wanted to know if you wanted to come. I wanted to invite you. The whole neighborhood's coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm gonna have golf on the TV, or maybe if it's not a golf neighborhood, maybe football. So Sundays are good. So I'm gonna have the football game on or a baseball game on, whatever it is. We got beer, wine, drinks, lots of food and stuff. Be awesome if you wanted to come by. And you get stuff like, well, I already own this house. Why would I want to come to an open house? Well, no, it's an open house party. And I really like the whole neighborhood's coming, so it's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss out on that. And then also, you might know somebody in family or friends that you would want to live here, like nearby you. So be cool if you just come over. But just come over so I don't have to drink all the beer and wine by myself because this is not going to end. So I really like some company. And, have fun with them, and they're like, okay. I'm like, you can buy the house or not. Come by and visit and check it out. It's the fun of open houses, is snoop around people's houses. Have you always wondered what it lived inside that house? And they're like, yeah, well, kind of, yeah, actually. Okay. And so anyway, we had a bunch of people come. So that's how I do it. Go around, invite all the neighborhood. They come. And then you're building the relationship again. Now you've met these people, and when they come to the open house, they're really gonna connect with you, and you're gonna see them more than one time. Then you're gonna build that relationship more. And if you continue to do open houses in the same neighborhood, you're just gonna be the neighborhood expert very quickly. Um, Another good strategy is, well, how many open houses should you do a month, a week? Well, I would say when I started off, I was required to do a week. So I would say do that. Very minimum, do one every week. It's going to be much better. I mean, if you try to your farm, the same farm, and do that area, you'll quickly become the neighborhood expert. Because if you do it consistently, so that means two per week every week, all the time. If you miss one, you make it up. So if you can't do one day, you make it up. If you can't do whatever in the week, then you make it up the next week. You don't just not do it. You just don't you don't just not make money. Like, oops, I had something to do, so now I don't need money anymore. Well, you probably still need the same money, so look it up. So you got to do these steps to make the money. These are the steps to doing it. Um, Another really, really great tip, if you're new or you're breaking into an area or a market, or just you need to bump up some revenue, and some sales, is, well, here's a question I always ask. How many people come into your office or your home, if you work at your home office, how many people come in there and say, hey, I'm thinking about maybe one day buying or selling a home, or even if it's like sooner than later, but I'm interested in buying or selling a home. They come knock on your door, hey, I want to buy or sell a house. Can you help me with that? The chances are like next to zero. Um, but if you're working, what I suggest is making an open house your office for a week. Work for 5, 7 days. I don't care. And do all the normal stuff you would do on your laptop. I work on a laptop. Don't have a laptop, get a laptop. And put that with you to the house. Go to open house and work for there for 6, 7 hours a day for a week. Promise you, you're gonna have people coming in and getting into your database, into your CRM. They're not going to be doing that at your other office. So put yourself in front of traffic, in front of business. Give yourself a chance to actually make money instead of making up excuses to not make money, like just going to work in your office to do classes, to do nothing. Do these things. These are simple, easy things. Just do an open house. Have your business being done there. You'll be amazed. Another thing about doing them. Anyway, another quick tip is as far as gated properties. So some neighborhoods and cities have more gated neighborhoods than others. Like Las Vegas has tons and tons of gated properties. Some of them are guard gated, some of them are regular gated. They have a call box, or they have a code, or whatever it is. So I would suggest finding ones that don't have that, but Vegas is just almost all of them. So there's two ways you can do it. You can put a sign up, give you a call, and then you buzz them in. So if you're here for the open house, call, boop, 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 boop. They'll call you. You can push a button, whatever, sign it in, or they can do the call box. You put in the number of the address. They call that, and you buzz them in that way. Or if you have the ability to change the code right away, you can put the code for the gate on you'd have to check with the association, the HOA association, and other ones you'll have to make any rules. Putting out the gate code. If you have the ability to change it right at the end of the open house, then it's only good for that time anyway. The other option is to have somebody in a car. So I've paid my niece, I've paid assistants, other people to just run people into, especially guard gated ones. So that's where you need to have your name on a list, and there's a guard working there, and they're not going to let you in unless you're on the list. Open house people aren't on the list, so then you have to be checked, right? So you have a car that sits there, and as people sign in, they follow the car up to the property. They drop them off and they come right back or wait for the next person. So that's the two ways to work the gated ones, which can be super lucrative. I had one in the Covenant in Del Mar. It actually wasn't in the Covenant, it was just outside, but it was a very desirable area and guard gated. And gosh, they said don't put signs, you're not allowed to put signs in front by where the gate is. So I just walked like, I don't know, 50 yards down where I couldn't see the guard shack anymore. And I put the signs there. So I put them just on the other side. And I put a bunch of them. We had 150 people come look at my $4.5 million house listing. And also there were four others. There's 11 properties in this whole complex. There were three other properties for sale. None of them moving. Mine had sat for a year. None of them had people at their open houses, nothing. They just whatever. So I was thinking outside the box. So I made this open house party, and we had a taco truck, and we made perfect margaritas like they were going outside, like awesome, badass Cadillac margaritas. And Jen made the margaritas. I coordinated everything, and I was walking around hobnobbing with people. And we put them in just big get things were big glass jars that they could just pour their own margaritas. I mean, this was one of the best open houses I ever had. And these people live in the neighborhood. There aren't just a lot of random people driving around um, Rancho Santa Fe in the San Diego area. But like most of the people live there, and most of them have quite a bit of money. So these are all qualified potential people. And like, I met so many people that day. Out of 150 people, it was crazy. People were staying for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like they were kicking it. There were people in the neighborhood that met each other for the first time. It was crazy. Like this property was massive. So some people were over here by the statue in this pergola, and some people were under the main covered patio area, and some people were sitting in the massive living room, and some people were congregating around the kitchen. Some people were out playing basketball together. Some people were checking out the grotto and the pool. So there were all these pods of people like meeting each other, talking, eating tacos. It was really, really fun. And we ended up selling that one took 3 months or so with multiple offers. None of the other ones sold in the neighborhood anytime soon. And none of them probably with multiple offers. And the other ones, and they'd all had sat for over a year before that. So just trying to think, maybe one of the buyers that put an offer in was at that open house. But the main thing was that I met a lot of people, and the neighbors, one of the neighbors walked up right up to me and they said, "This is incredible. I've never seen." And they had a $5 million house, $4 or $5 million house too. They said, "This is just incredible. Like this is amazing." We're coming to you when we sell this house. Yeah, but when we do, we're hiring you. So make sure we want your information. We'll come inside to have some tacos. But for right now, let's get your information, whatever. So of course we followed up with them, and we still do today. So that's what it's all about. That's what these open houses are about. It's about making relationships, connecting with people, adding value, and then of course the follow-up. So you have to follow up. And at the end of your open house, you put all that data info that you took notes, take great notes on everybody you talk to. And whoever's helping you, have them do that too. And then at the end of it, before you forget, don't wait till the next day. At the end of the day, you go home and you put all these things into your CRM. So put all the contacts in there, put all the great notes that you took, a full page of questions that you didn't answer. And then you build the less searches for the ones. So the questionnaire, one buyer questionnaire that I have with, I don't know if we have that or link to that, but if anybody wants it, it's one of the most effective tools that I have as a real estate agent that I developed that I give to people called the buyer questionnaire. And it pre-qualifies them, disqualify them too if they're no good. And then it'll tell you all the stuff that they're looking for and their time frame and everything. And then also the questions are structured to build an MLS search. So it doesn't matter what you have. If you have Paragon, if you have Matrix, those are the only two that I know. There's probably lots more, but anyway, it just asks searchable criteria that you can enter in and build an MLS search for people. So at the end of the weekend, what I would do, so say you got 15, 20, parties that came through, then you should be having that many. If not, then maybe try adjusting what you're doing. You need to have a lot more signs out, I guarantee you. And build their MLS searches, send it all out, put them in your CRM, and follow up with them. Actually, I thought I had another one. But that's those are the most important things that you can do. Uh, things of the week. That's what I was gonna say. One last tidbit before we wrap this up. There you go. There's our questionnaire. So I'll read it real quick. But also, don't let me forget about talking about days of the week to have an open house and times. What's causing you to move? You need to sell your home in order to buy a new one. You'd be paying cash or financing your home. Uh, we have our top producing lender, Aaron with Guild Mortgage, who still is one of my favorite and best lenders we have in both Vegas and in California. And I think he's licensed in other places too. But we can give you a ballpark for a 10-minute phone call. So that's a whole other thing. When we're getting our people to our lender, I've instructed my lender to talk to him for about 10 minutes and make a quick phone call, ask them how much they make, how much they have, all the stuff. It's a verbal. I want to know verbally. And then they can give them an idea. What kind of, are they 1099? Are they W-2? All of that. And then you can just give them a verbal. Yeah, they sound good. They've had their job for 10 years. They make $400,000 a year. A lot of expensive, I'm just saying. And they get paid W-2 and whatever, so they can buy whatever they want. It sounds like. This is unverified. Then he tells me that information. And I say, good, that's worth my time to start going showing them right now, and we'll get the pre-approval going right away. So after they talk, when I tell the client is like, we're gonna have a 10-minute overview ballpark and see if you like it and you're interested after you've talked to him and now kind of what you can do. Then we can start the pre-approval process right then. If you don't want to, you didn't like what you hear, you're like, I'm not ready, that's not going to work, then that's fine. So it's a 10-minute deal instead of everybody else is like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to give them my taxes, my social security number, all that stuff. No, we just do a 10-15 minute call quick, see if it's something they're interested in moving forward with. If they are and it sounds good, or it might be like Aaron might say, you know what, these guys are 1099, they got 17 businesses, they have this debt, that debt, and it's doable, but we need a lot more information before we go. Okay, good. Now I know how to talk to them from that. We still set them up with a search. We can do all this stuff, but we need to figure out a few more things to make sure that they're actually able to buy a house. So that's how we move forward from there. So that's a quick overview, and that's a great one of the best questions in there. And it's also step one before we do any work with them, besides making an MLS search and keeping in touch with them. What areas of town do you prefer? How soon would you like to move in? Tell me more about your ideal home. Can be different in each area. Like Vegas, Las Vegas pools are important. So golf courses are important. Canyon lots are important. All that. So San Diego has different ones, views, oceans, schools, but schools, work, all that stuff. And then we say email and text is our preferred contact method. First matters what is the best phone number to contact you. Because mostly we're going to text and email them this stuff. It's just doing exactly what it says it's going to do. This lets the pressure off, like, hey, we're not going to call you a whole bunch. We're not trying to bother you. We have other ways that we can send you that information that's way more convenient and more effective. But what's your phone number also? Because we might need to, well, we need to text you, but also we might have a phone call for complicated stuff. So that's the buyer question I walk around with now. The Tom Ferry script is also very good. There's also KW scripts that I have. There are also scripts probably from whatever brand you're with, whatever brokerage you're with. So if you ever need one of these, I'm happy to share it with you. So let me know. And I think that's about all I can think of right now. Some people will put their signs out the day before and put signs on them, their open house signs that says open house tomorrow. So it builds up a lot of interest, or put open house signs to the door and put a sign on the door that says the open house is tomorrow. I really love that one just because I don't like tricking people. I'd rather just, you know, but it's effective. I've heard people doing it. Or leave them there after the open house and put your number and sign. Say, hey, the open house was this time to this time. Now it's over. Let me call. We'll schedule a private showing. So that's another idea. Some people wrap their trucks, which is something I've always wanted to do. I've never done it. Big flags and stuff out the back of those. And I have put flags and open house signs on my truck in front of the house or whatever to just get more attention. Some people get the big glowy guys. Anything to get attention and get people in the door and come meet you. This person that just put up crazy marketing that nobody else does in their neighborhood is going to be effective and help you stand out. Can you think of any questions, or you have any thoughts on any of that, Tara?
What's the best day of the week to have open houses?
That's a good one. Every day of the week is a good day to do open houses. So the best days, though, I'll tell you is, well, the best day is Saturday. Maybe the second best day would be Sunday. But during football season in church, it's a lot slower. So Sundays are tough. They are still second best day. Third best day is going to be Friday after work. So Fridays, people get off work early. So I would say people leave work, and if they're still at work, they're checked out and they're looking at houses or whatever. Anyway, the main thing is they're probably going to go have happy hour or do something to blow off steam from the stressful work week. But if you have a whole bunch of open house signs on their way home or on their way to the bar or wherever they're going, Friday afternoons are really good. Friday evenings when people are getting off work. Then any work weekday, say 5 o'clock on, 5 to 8, is really good. You'll get a lot of traffic. And then third day is good too. Hey, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, uh, weekdays in the daytime. So you can catch people at lunch, you can catch people all kinds of stuff. So what my mentor and team leader told me when I first started is that try every day in different areas and see how it works. So I did. I mean, I did more than 2 a week often. Sometimes I did a whole week at cool ones that I liked. Also, make sure you're doing a lot of video and posting all your stuff, what you're doing on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you do. Let people know that you do open houses and that you sell houses and that you're out there doing the work. You'll be rewarded greatly for doing it, and then you'll also be recognized as a neighborhood expert. You'll never be the neighborhood expert if you're not in the neighborhood doing all this. And then you also won't be if you don't tell people that you're doing it. Like, how are they going to know? So tell as many people that you're involved. You're involved in the neighborhood and the area. And one last bit on that is when you're calling people to say, "Hey, I hold your house open. I'd really love to hold your house open. Is it available for me to do that?" And just keep calling people down the line, create a list. And they're going to be like, some people might be like, "Oh, no, we have Saturday and Sunday covered already for open houses." And I would say, "Oh, that's cool. How about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? Do you have those all covered?" And they're like, "Wouldn't no, you want to do an open house on Tuesday?" "Yeah, I'll do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever you want." So this is how I started doing open houses in Del Mar. I'd do 4 a week in Del Mar. And I also football for 4 days a week, three hours a day. Anyway, that's how you get into these neighborhoods. And some people be like, "Well, no, we're not. We're only having people on our team do it or whatever." We're gonna get some people like that. That's okay. And a lot of people will be like, "Yeah, cool, thank you. I appreciate that. This is the day that can do it. This is whatever. And here's how you get in and blah blah blah." You want to make sure you keep everything very nice and clean and shut everything down and make it very secure when you're done, when it's not your listing. Again, check with the rules in your association and area, make sure that's okay. That's it, Bill. Any favorite ideas or thoughts on this stuff, Tara? What was your favorite thing I mentioned?
Having the food and drinks all around the house, not just at the sign-in table.
Yep. Sneaky little trick just to get people to relax. And want him to eat because I try to trick him. I just want him to eat because I brought these things, man. How somebody should eat them. I want people to feel good and to be like, oh yeah, I love little candies, I love little treats. Just let them have them, it's just fun. That's it. Well, thank you all for coming to this episode of Sharpen the Saw with the Wise Agent Society. We have our weekly national real estate news call on Thursdays at 11 a.m. CST. So hope to see you on that one. And until next time. Toodaloo.